Welcome to the regular meeting of the Cape Coral City Council. Today is February 19th, 2025. This meeting now comes to order. Please stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance by Councilmember Lehman.
Dear Lord, let us all come together and please help the council to truly listen to the citizens, to be transparent, to have the citizens get their points across in a very civil manner. In your name we pray. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Gunter.
Here.
Council members Donnell.
Here.
Paduk.
Here.
Kilrain.
Here.
Lastra.
Here.
Lehman.
Here.
Long.
Here.
Steinke.
Here.
All present.
Next item on the agenda is changes to the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda, or I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Long. Steinke.
Aye.
Donnell.
Aye.
Gunter.
Aye.
Paduk.
Aye.
Kilrain.
Aye.
Lastra.
Aye.
Lehman.
Aye.
8 ayes, motion carried.
Item 6 is recognitions and achievements, the first one of which is a presentation of a plaque to Councilmember Welsh. So I'm going to ask you to come up and I'll walk down. Thank you. Councilmember Welsh wasn't able to attend our last meeting, so I thought I wanted to make sure that he could come today and publicly we could thank him for his dedication and his service to our community. Bobby served with us for 4 years as a city council member. It was an honor and a privilege to serve with you over that time period. Sorry to see you leave, but we wanted to say thank you and really appreciate everything that you did and the contributions that you made to our city. We have a small plaque here today that basically says, in recognition and appreciation of your distinguished service to the residents of Cape Coral as a member of Cape Coral City Council from November 2020 until November 2024. Again, thank you very much for your service to our community. Also tonight, we have a presentation for city employees for years of service. Today, I'd like to recognize the following employee for their unwavering dedication and deep devotion to protecting our streets here in Cape Coral. His leadership, mentorship, and genuine care for the people he served left a memorable mark on the police department and the lives of countless citizens. We are incredibly grateful for your service. Unfortunately, he was not able to attend here tonight, but I wanted to make sure that this particular individual was also recognized. Madam City Clerk, could you please read the recipient's name and the years of service?
Deputy Chief of Police Phil Van Landschoot, Police Department, 27 years of service.
Let's give him a round of applause. Also on the agenda tonight, under 6C, we have Community Recognitions Awards, and I'll turn that over to Mr. City Manager.
Today I have the privilege of presenting the Community Recognition Award to Daniel Lin, an exceptional young athlete who has demonstrated incredible talent, dedication, and perseverance in high school bowling. As a junior at Cape Coral High School, he earned the title of 2024 State Bowling Champion after an outstanding performance in the finals. He defeated his opponents with scores of 213 to 201 and 280 to 246. Daniel was also named Florida Dairy Farmers Mr. Bowling in November and the News Press Boys Bowler of the Year in 2023 and 2024. We are honored to recognize Daniel Lin today with the City of Cape Coral's Community Recognition Award. His accomplishments bring pride to our community and serve as an inspiration to all young athletes.
Again, congratulations for your recognition here today. Okay, we'll move on to item 7, which is approval of the minutes. Do we have a motion regarding the minutes from the regular meeting of February 5th, 2025?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8 on the agenda is citizens' input time. A maximum of 60 minutes is set on the input of citizens on the matters of city government, 3 minutes per individual. Please remember to state your name. We'll be utilizing the podium to my left and your right. So if you'd like to speak, please come forward. Go ahead, sir.
For the record, my name is Mark Mirth, President of the Cape Coral Professional Firefighters, Local 2424. I'm here to address item number 5, Resolution 47-25 this evening. Sorry for kind of coming late in the game here. First of all, we approve anytime there's any type of advancement or improvement to the fire stations. But particularly with Fire Station 1, we've had an issue going on with that system, that AC system down there since 2018. And a lot of it revolves around humidity building within the station, moisture and condensation builds within the ceiling, and then drips come down into the ceiling tiles, creates mold and all these other issues. The system was replaced in 2020. They put a new AC system in. We're basically battling with the same issues once again, and now it looks like, based on this resolution, they're going to pass money to once again replace the AC system. The union is not so certain it's the AC system. What we believe what's occurring is something's going on in the plenum space that is creating the condensation and moisture to build. So I guess just when we're looking at this, if there's an option that a study can get done and completed with the current system and see if it's more of an engineering flaw, would that money then be able to get moved elsewhere if another AC system needed to replace? That's all I'm kind of concerned over is, before we just agree to this and replace the AC system at one, if there's not a need for the AC system and it's actually something else in the engineering that's going on, would we be able to shift that money to another station? Appreciate your time this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Judy Mitchell, and I'm president of the Cape Coral Friends of Wildlife, a totally all-volunteer nonprofit organization dedicated to the preservation and protection of wildlife species here in the city of Cape Coral, especially the threatened burrowing owl and gopher tortoise. We will be hosting our 23rd annual Burrowing Owl Festival, Wildlife and Environmental Expedition this Saturday at Rotary Park in collaboration with the Cape Coral Parks Department. Thank you for the RSVPs from Council Members Kilrain, Lehman, and Lastra. We hope that more of you from the council will be able to attend, especially during our open ceremonies that start at 10:15. We extend our heartfelt thanks for your dedication to the city's wildlife conservation efforts. Please let me update you about the activities that took place last year. For nearly 3 years, beginning with Carvo's vision of using the collected FWC permit fees paid to collapse burrows for new construction to have FWC purchase burrowing owl habitats to replace those that have been destroyed. The Friends have collaborated with the city to define the scope of the grant, submit the grant application, help to finalize the agreement between the City of Cape Coral, FWC, the FWC Foundation, and the Conservation Foundation of the Gulf Coast, and we have suggested land for purchase. Today, you have the opportunity to approve the first 5 lots funded by the Burrowing Owl Habitat Protection Grant. No city funds are being used to purchase these lots. This is a significant milestone marking the first agreement of its kind ever. We are delighted that the hard work of so many individuals is becoming a reality. We would like to acknowledge the contributions of several individuals who played key roles in securing this grant. First, City Manager Mike Elchison, who navigated this agreement to completion, and Matt Granbow, who was our first contact person and grant writer. We also thank Mayor Gunter, Sarah Newcomb, and Don Andrews in the real estate department for their valuable expertise. And now, a big thank you to you, the Cape Coral City Council. The Friends of Wildlife truly appreciate your support. Additionally, the Burrowing Owls benefit from this grant as we work towards the protection and preservation of burrowing owl habitat within our city. This little owl has become a notable tourist attraction. The Friends of Wildlife see it every day through our website and telephone contacts. The Friends of Wildlife are the voice for all wildlife and their habitat, including parks and green space, along with every supportive and caring citizen within the city of Cape Coral. Thank you.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. I'd like, since the Cape Coral Friends of Wildlife is going to work with the city, with the burrowing owls, we'll find the lots for the city, and we will monitor them, so we are part of the city. So I respectfully ask you, when they make committees, would you make an environmental committee for us? I think, you know, now that we are part of the city, I think it behooves you to do that. As far as the grant, I'm the one that got the grant, and from FWC. They met down in the Coconut Hyatt, and during the height of the COVID, and we went down. I asked a couple people to go, and we've been working on this for 3 or 4 years, Posh and I, but finally, we talked to the commission, and I asked them for the grant, and they gave me to the person that does the grants, and we met with this lady, and I told her, you know, we'd like the mitigation money from the owls, and we got it, and so that was in the beginning of June. So the end of June, we get a letter that we got $900,000 for a grant for the city to buy lots, and we are part of it. And we have become $1 million club in Cape Coral Friends of Wildlife, which is everyone's goal. And the other thing I'd like to talk about is one-on-one. You know, the mayor talked about balance, but nothing has happened. I'd like to see 1 acre for development and 1 acre for green space. And they do this in Bend, Oregon, and Hood, Oregon, and all throughout the country. And I'm going to get the legislation that you can look over and use to do it. I think we're a young city, and this would be good to get our balance and get some green space before it's all gone, because you know and I know we're the fastest growing city in the nation, month after month, year after year. And the other 2 things I'd like to mention is Redfoot Fish Point. The only area left that it's green space, and you would want to develop it and take all that away, and that doesn't make sense to me. And the other thing is the old golf course should be left green as well, because there's so many animals. There's bobcat in there, there's fox, there's even coyotes, and the rabbits and the squirrels emulate out. I live a couple of blocks from the golf course, and the squirrels that have come out there, and I saw three rabbits last time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Carl.
Please consider what I
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, Lou Navarre, 50-year resident, Cape Coral. I wanted to toot my own horn one more time. November 11th will be Veterans Day. It'll be a school holiday. I worked for 3 years with the district there. The charter schools were missing that because you follow the district's calendar. So while you all were doing well with the veterans, they weren't. But hopefully this is going to stay a holiday for good. It's a little hypocrisy, but while we're going to talk about that, I'm disappointed with the newly elected council members that are turning their back on their campaign promises. One exception is Miss Kay, Miss Pretty Lady over there. You started batting at 1,000. Now you turn your backs on your promises to restore the voluntary committees for stakeholders. Here's what I think a stakeholder looks like, and you took away my pictures there, thanks to the attorney who said we didn't need it. Maybe we don't need him. He should go back to Sarasota. I was born and raised there. Here's what a stakeholder looks like. If you want to see it, folks, here it is. A piece of steak on a post, and the dog's looking at it. But I got more pictures, and we got even a quote from Mr. Joe. He's promised committees. Now he likes stakeholders. That's not what you promised. I've got the article here from the Breeze. And the rest of you voted it, except for Ms. K. Now, the Breeze is in favor of it as well. And Ms. Lehman, she missed the vote. Reminded me, Miss L.
Mr. Navarra, just
reminded me of Mr.
just wanted to
S.
remind you that you have to address us as a collective body and
well.
not as an individual.
But you know you're violating the First Amendment. But let me go on. I'm losing 10 seconds here. The Breeze is in favor of it. The only pictures I want left is the failure of code enforcement, public works. Now here's code enforcement. They won't do a thing about these things. Kept putting me on call block, and Miss K, we talked about that. Public works, what happened to asphalt? I'm leaving these pictures. Hurricane Milton, nobody changed that sign. It still says stop. It's backwards. I call in and everybody hangs up on me. But Mayor, here's your picture. It's a piece of the pool from the, it's a Joe Biden moment. You know where it is.
All right, well, thank you there, Mr. Navarra.
Welcome. Why aren't you guys answering? Thank you.
Come on up, sir. You can go ahead and speak.
Tough act to follow. Yeah, I'm Jay Higgins, Northwest Cape, District 6. And piggybacking on that gentleman, I agree with him about the committees, that there are some committees that should be official and should meet instead of the stakeholders, especially the ones that are the most controversial and the most expensive. And I'm talking about the budget, the Parks and Rec, and utilities specifically, that those should be public, noticed, minutes taken. Otherwise, you get into stakeholders groups, and I fear what will happen is it's going to become a he said, she said, and nothing will ever get done because there'll be a lot of bickering and there will be no official record. So that's my opinion and my vote. So I would ask you to relook at that. I'd also ask for a no vote to make mandatory hookup to the city irrigation water when it becomes available in your area. I'm on a well. I don't want to lose my well, and I believe that it's a violation of my rights on my property to have my well, and I would urge a no vote to that. And lastly, I want to say, mark this date down on your books. I agree with Councilman Steinke on the expenses, on legitimate expenses and mileage. I believe you should be reimbursed for those costs. I think that's not part of the job when you take the job. I believe that legitimate expenses, especially mileage and such, not dry cleaning, should be paid and reimbursed. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Joanne Gruber, and I live in the Southwest Cape. So today is a good day. It's a really good day. I'm not going to complain about anything. I'm not going to argue about J.C. Park. I just am here as a member of the Cape Coral Friends of Wildlife and the Trust, the Cape Coral Wildlife Trust treasurer, to thank you all for working with us and bringing us this close to your approval of our grant. There are just so many people to thank, obviously Carl and all the members of the Friends of Wildlife, but Mike's team has just been a pleasure to work with on this, with Matt and with Dawn and with Sarah. It's just been a great, and it's a great day today. So thank you. And on Saturday, as Judy mentioned, we're going to have our Cape Coral Burrowing Owl Festival, and at the table where in the tent where the trust is sitting, and it's where the actual Friends of Wildlife sells their merchandise, there'll be a big version of this, and this is the properties that the Wildlife Trust owns. And this is just one little subset where the properties that we're going to buy with the grant, the first lot of them, are around our areas that we own some of our lots. And it'll really give you a very good idea of what you're doing to preserve. This place is so peaceful, and it's so lovely, and the neighbors love it, and you are contributing to that. So again, today is a great day, and I thank you. Hope to see you on Saturday.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Debbie McCormick, a permanent resident of the Cape for 52 years. I'm here to talk about the CAL meeting of last week that I watched. I was shocked that the 5 new council members that ran with me during the last election season didn't agree to bring back the citizen review boards that we all ran on. You need financial boards with volunteers that have qualifications to oversee these boards, such as the budget review, utilities. Stakeholder groups are fine for non-financial discussions. The public will feel more secure when qualified volunteers with no skin in the game, not elected officials, nor city staff are overseeing our money. Since you all are allowing less transparency than before, reeks of corruption. I don't think I'm alone in saying, please, for the sake of everybody in this city, start doing what you told the residents you would do when you were elected. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Arthur King. I live in Entrada, and I'm going off the agenda just slightly. I want to thank all of you, Mayor, council members, for having me here to speak only on about 4 points and then a request. As of January 9th, 2025, the future Cape Coral City zoning and future land use map for the year 2050 shows the area that we're looking at for those water tanks as PR, which references natural resources / preservation. And I look back in the previous maps, 2030, it says the same thing. That may be out of date, but I just said that's the reason most of us in our community was wondering why those haven't been updated, or if there was a possible chance of changing the location of those tanks. So there's 4 things. We have 4 water towers going in behind our residents. They're being built on known headwater area to Yellow Fever Creek. They have other land. There is other land available that isn't in a preserve. It violates the city's comprehensive land use plan, and I realize that Ordinance 85-24 is one of those approvals to make that change. It will also reduce light and noise pollution. It will produce or introduce light and noise pollution into the preserve, affecting wildlife. And last point, it will lower our home values with 45-foot water tanks looming in our backyards. That was my main thing, but I realize there's so many other things involved. And the question I have to you and the request is, what happens if any of the inspections fail, don't get approved? Is there a backup site? And my last one is a request. I'm asking you not to approve Ordinance 85-24. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, Dan Shepard, District 2. Hello, Dan Shepard, District 2. I'm here because I'm excited to hear that we got one of the permits needed for the yacht club. Between the yacht club and JC Park, there are going to be 2 awesome destinations in the next few years. When they're both complete, that's going to add tremendous value to our city, as well as great amenities for all the citizens to enjoy. I want to thank the councilmen that are responsible for holding steadfast and not backing down on doing these 2 projects. It shows the leadership of getting things done. Thank you. The other thing I would like to bring up is with our new council people, this is targeted to the new ones. As I watched all of you run for your position and get elected, I only really heard one person, I believe it was District 7, that told the public her vision, what her goal was if she becomes a council person, on what she would like to bring to the city, and it was a performing arts center. Now, you know, it might happen, it might not happen, but as a citizen, that's what I want to hear. I want to know what all 5 of you, what you want to bring to the table as a council person. I believe anyone can become a council person and just show up on Wednesday and vote. What we need is people with vision and ideas to move our city forward. And also, to get your goals accomplished, you have to market them. You have to raise your voice. This council person does that. I've heard her repeat over and over again at many different meetings and events her vision, her dream. What that does, it lets the rest of you know what her vision is. So that helps you help her achieve her goal. That's what council's supposed to do. You're a team. You work together. For instance, I'll give you an example. Say there's a possibility of a performing arts center in our downtown. Well, I can foresee the problem being parking, because a lot of the areas down there aren't big enough for such a venue. So maybe if it ever comes up for a council as a whole to invest in a parking garage for our CRA. So it would help things like a performing arts center be possible, or even other venues possible to come to our city. So what I'm asking is the rest of the new council members, I don't want to put you on the spot today, please let us know your vision. What do you want to bring to the table? What do you want to work on for the next 4 years? Because I'm going to tell you, you don't know who's watching. There's people that watch this meeting. There's people that have the ability to help you. But you have to express your vision and your goal for the city, as well as so your comrades can hear it as well and help you. So that's what I wanted to bring today. Like I said, once again, I'm glad for the great news. We're getting closer to these two parks being completed. The other thing I wanted to bring up, I've had a little bit of time, is the burst.
Thank you.
Please keep that. We need the commercial space and the professional office space.
Thank you.
My name is Tom Coy, and thank you for this time to speak. And these are my thoughts. The boat may have sailed, or maybe the boat hasn't sailed, but these are my thoughts. Recently, the city councilor and city manager have advised us on the possibilities of serious financial lawsuits if the J.C. Park contracts are canceled. I mean, absolutely, litigation should be avoided. But it appears to me that the new council members are hiding behind this fear-mongering and using it as an excuse not to fight the former council, and are doing the bidding of the former council and anyone else who is piloting the destruction of J.C. Park. It is absolutely untrue that the city must suffer heavy financial consequences. We don't really know what can happen if we don't dig into the contracts to find other solutions. It may be that the contractors are willing to engage in discussions to satisfactorily receive an amount of money for termination of a contract. An expert contract renegotiator, along with council members, should meet with contractors to discuss possibilities. You know, for example, the bandshell contractor might consider reducing the contract to build a large pavilion. Boat slips, you know, you might build a pier instead. Trees must be planted anyway, so that contract is still viable. Maybe the contract for the restaurant building must be the one contract to cancel and pay a prudent penalty. My opinion is there's a certain amount of money that the new council should consider losing as a cost of doing the wishes of the people so that the J.C. Park can remain a wonderful park. It is justifiable to spend money to clean up the mess of the former council. If you are thinking of running again, you know, for office, realize that I have a great amount of distrust for these recent actions and won't forget them. So you still need to stop these contracts. The voters have spoken. Do not redevelop J.C. Park. So, you know, in the future, I would support new council members who will actually overturn your actions by destroying a bandshell or destroying a restaurant that you have voted for. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Julia Atari, and I think this is kind of my last dish. I've spoken about this J.C. Park contract endlessly. I've read this J.C. Park contract, and yeah, fear-mongering is the exact word that's going on here. We had an opportunity from September to November 10th to cancel a contract if the money has not been paid. We were told the money wasn't paid. We were told the money. You keep going forward with a contract that has been violated from November. We are now in February. I keep getting told we're going to get sued for $18 million. We can only get sued for what they have invested. I have asked how much has been invested. We'll get back to you. I'm going to be dead before they get back to me. This is ridiculous. It's not about, in my opinion, the park. It's not about the trees, the squirrels, the birds. I know everybody loves them. Please don't yell at me. It's about a contract that's not in the best interest of the city. The only one benefiting from this contract is the concessionaire. That's it. And unfortunately, nobody wants to look at this, and nobody wants to see that this is not a deal that's benefiting the people. And God help you, if anybody watched Donald J. Trump on Hannity last night, your job is to do the will of the people. A democracy. You are not doing that.
Anybody else wishing to speak during citizens' input? Seeing none, citizens' input's now closed. Councilmember Donnell.
Thank you, Mayor. It's almost, I can't even find the words to say it because I believe it was November. And I don't know, I don't deal with the who, I deal with the what. It's just almost beyond comprehension that the new council, we were rock stars. Because the very first vote we did on that night was to get rid of the stipend. And it was an uproar. We were all in the paper. We were all over everywhere. Everybody, the council is listening. You guys are listening. I get all these emails. You're great. And in less than 4 months, many of the same people that applauded us for listening and doing the will of the people now come here religiously, say we're not listening and burning a transparency and start throwing darts. That's just been a real interesting observation to make. So my comments will be just to one person. As I always speak, that is the gateway for our community as everybody is watching. And as council members, you will notice the different way that we respond. Hopefully we all get to one place. And I always start with PERT, P-E-R-T. P, professional. E, empathetic. R, rational. And then T, transparent. And I've been looking and hoping that on this side, as all the speakers, and some of them do, is that we can move together as a community. So let's just squash right now this new council, old council. We're the council. We are the council for City of Cape Coral. I want to comment specifically, though, about the boards, and I'll let you all get the rest of it. The boards, I was one of the ones that ran on the thing of bringing the boards back. See, words matter. When I was running, what I heard, and I could just, it's my fault, I did not do my due diligence. What I heard from many of the community was, they got rid of all the boards and committees. What I took that to be was, when I think of boards, I mean, what do you mean? They no longer exist. Well, by the nature of the beast, by the words, yes, the boards and committees were gotten rid of. What I did not know then was that the people that were on those committees, they renamed it for many of them. Not a committee, but many of them were changed to stakeholders groups. I said, wait a minute, you mean the same public still has the opportunity to participate? They just changed the name on many of them? And the answers resoundingly yes, and that you can research that. So one of the things where I can speak for my vote, and we were here and we found that out, I'm like, wait a minute, what's the purpose of it? We want the public to be involved, to be engaged. The only reason why I voted for not the boards, but for the stakeholders, because there's a lot of nuances to it. I can hear the transparency. People are going to believe what they're going to believe. We're going to try it out, where we don't have to have staff time and announce in minutes that gets consumed. We're going to try out to see if we can make this stakeholders group work. If it doesn't work, we can get the data and we can bring it back and see if we need to bring it back as a committee. That's all we're doing, but the public has an opportunity. So I just wanted to say so that's what I voted for. So I am guilty for not, and I own that, for not bringing the boards and committees back. But I'm very encouraged to see that we have the public that's still involved, and we have even opened up to have the opportunities for new committees. I've heard one, maybe a Fish and Wildlife, maybe a park. We're open to it. So all I'm asking is that you all will give us a chance to see how that works, because the city manager already said in the view of transparency to add quarterly minutes from those stakeholders groups. So what you seek is what you're going to find. And I'm going to always look for the positive and the best part of what we're doing, because these folks up here, and we are working hard for you. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Steinke.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things. Is Mark Morse still here? Yeah. I don't know where you are. I'll pull number 5, just so we get a little discussion on that. Jay Higgins, thank you for your support. It wasn't the first time we agreed on something, but thank you for having the courage to go up there and say that you agreed with me about something. That was good. Appreciate that. Our Burring Owl Festival, I am so happy. I've been ever since I started in favor of our wildlife and protecting them and doing whatever we could for the owls, the tortoises. I've been to each one of the events up until now. I've got a schedule conflict on Saturday. That's why I haven't responded, but I'm trying to move that conflict so that I can attend, even if not just for the opening ceremony, but to get there. So I am trying. As it relates to the Budget Review Committee, I think it's, of course, words matter. I think there's not an acceptance of the fact that switching to more of a forum actually allows for more participation, more transparency, the ability to talk to each one of the directors of each one of the departments so that you get to actually talk to them about what the budget items in their section are for, why the money is needed, and to give feedback department by department. Rather than relying upon 8 or 10 or 12 people from 240,000 to give opportunity to all 240,000 to come by if they want and talk about the budget. It's often, it's disappointing sometimes that to some degree after citizens' input, everyone leaves. And we actually talk about the business of the business, and that's one of the reasons why people say that they're uninformed. Well, a lot of all that comes about happens after citizens' input when we're actually doing the business of the business. And so I think there's actually more transparency by having the workshops so that all of our citizens can be engaged. There's more opportunity for giving feedback to each one of the people that are supplying their component parts to the city manager for budget approval. And to use words like corruption and whatnot, it's a common word used to try to develop some type of emotional attraction to it, but it's not a matter of corruption. We wouldn't want you to actually talk to every one of the departments if we didn't want you to be able to know why the money was being asked for in each one of those departments. So if you've not been to that workshop before, when we hold it this year, come. We would have liked to have had better attendance last year. So this year, when it happens, please come and make your way around to each one of the department tables, talk with the folks. I highly encourage that. And that's it for me, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Lehman.
Yes. Mr. City Manager, question. I got, statement and then a question. I got an email from Connie Barron saying that the money on J.C. Park was going to be forthcoming. Has it yet?
I don't believe it's been received.
We haven't received any money yet.
No.
What I don't understand, please explain, that money was due in by November 10th. Where in writing, and I've read the contracts too, as have a lot of the citizens, where is this 90-day extension? It's not listed. I keep hearing about, we've given them a 90-day extension on the money, on getting the money into us. Yes, we're fining them daily, but we're giving them a 90-day extension on getting the money into us, the earnest money. I don't see anywhere in that contract where it says anything about a 90-day extension. Where did this 90-day extension come from? Is it anywhere in writing?
I'm not aware of any prescribed day extension. I've said this before. I will say it again. I respect the opinion of the people reading the contract thinking that they are in breach or default. I will reaffirm administration has not declared them in breach of contract. The contract says specifically, if after we put them on notice in writing, they do not pay, and that's discretionary, we may put them on notice, then they are in breach.
Okay.
But because of the discussions and because of the letters that we got from their attorneys and everything that we've went through in regards to their payment, we did not declare them in breach. What we said and what we continue to do is say, we understand your position that the contract looked like it might have been in jeopardy. We acknowledge the letter from your attorney, but we don't feel like that is sufficient enough to not charge you penalty and interest, and so we are charging them.
Okay.
As of today, on their 1.3 million, I don't even know the number.
1.37.
1.37, we are talking about $48,000. And so when they come to pay, as of today, I checked because I had a feeling it might come up. It seems to be coming up every week. I figured I'd say, what's the number today? And so it's a $48,000 penalty and interest if they were to come in today and pay. If they come in tomorrow, we hit the button and we know what the new number is.
Okay. I just have one other question. Connie had sent out an email to, I think, all of us about J.C. Park. And I emailed her back and asked her about the playground, an enhancement of the playground being an all disabilities play an inclusive situation. She said that it was already an inclusive playground, that there are 2 pieces of equipment there. I've talked to a couple of families who have disabled children and are disabled, and there's no inclusive. So now, if we're adding an enhancement of inclusive equipment, I still am going to go back to the band shell to protect the people that live behind the band shell for the sound dampening.
Sure.
And there would also be an enhancement.
I would like to call my Parks and Rec director up to speak about the playground.
Sure. Sure. I mean, I appreciate any light you can shed on this.
Joe, can you clarify whether or not the playground at J.C. Park is going to be all-inclusive and any designations it may receive after it's constructed?
Yeah, Joe Petrelli, Parks and Recreation Director. I think I've emailed this about before. When the playground was originally designed, it didn't have features in it that had inclusive play. It currently does have inclusive play included in it. It's not to the level that some people in our community want, which I mentioned in the email that I sent out previously. And we're working on getting those types of playgrounds throughout the community. But this playground does have inclusive play. It's going to get designations through, I apologize, I don't have it on my top of my head, as an inclusive play and a demonstration site through our contractor that's going to be putting it together. So it does have inclusive play abilities, and there will be features there for them.
All right, so that's being added, correct?
It's already been part of what we've already designed.
Is it part of the original contract?
It was added
So
through
it's an
discussions
all
with
right,
council.
My point being, so it's an enhancement. So if we're doing an enhancement of the inclusive equipment, why not the sound dampening? I understand the directional speakers, but why not an enhancement of the sound dampening around the back of the band shell to protect the homeowners that live behind it? If we're doing, I guess my point is, if we're doing one enhancement, why can't we add another one?
I believe we can, and my understanding from Joe and Connie is that they have included already some directional sound for the
Yeah.
speakers so it doesn't travel behind. And then you may recall at a couple of meetings ago, it was requested that we increase the parks stakeholders group to include discussions about considering further enhancements to that band shell. And so, Joe, have you been able to increase the group?
No, we just had a meeting last Monday. We had our initial meeting, but I'm putting out for additional members for the group. That is coming up. We are going to get a sound engineer for the band shell so we can make sure we have directional speakers and the sound does not affect the neighbors. I had actually just met with the homeowner association the other day, and I told them that that's one of the things we are going to be doing is really we're getting the sound engineers out there, making sure our speakers are directionally pointed. We can actually pinpoint where those speakers stop, and it shouldn't, I mean, they're going to be facing south. And to reach the condos in the south end, we're talking like 3 football lengths field with structures in between. I've talked to the condo associations that are down there. We've just spoken to them. I told them we're going to be purely transparent with providing this information and being open with them about what we are doing. But definitely a sound engineer will be added. During the design, let me just clarify, during the design of the play structure, it was originally not part of being inclusive. We were only at, I think it was 60% design when that was brought up. And as it's gone through the final design, the design ended up having inclusive play. So I don't believe it was an enhancement. It was part of the design as we move forward in the process. And that's how that came about.
Okay. One other question. With the Parks and Rec stakeholders group, are citizens allowed to attend that, or is that a closed meeting with no notes?
Stakeholders groups are not open to the public. If somebody wants to come and speak, they can surely come talk to me about it, yes.
They would have to come and see you ahead of time?
Email me, yes, yep.
Email you and ask to be included? Okay.
And is Connie back there, Joe?
Yep. Yeah.
Connie, can you shed any light on the design of the band shell playground?
Hopefully I can shed a little light on a couple of them, but yeah, Connie Barron, Assistant City Manager. First of all, just to clarify on the playground has been designed to be inclusive for quite some time. Even before the 60%, I know Joe was talking about the 60% design. We've been working on making that an inclusive playground almost since we started talking about the playground there. We wanted something very special. So it really wasn't an enhancement from the original design. The original design did have a few things in it. We were looking at, I can't remember the manufacturer at the time, but then we wanted to add more into it. So probably from the 30% to the 60% is when it really started adding more of those inclusive elements. And it has over 40 inclusive elements in that playground. Excuse me. Now, on the band shell, what is the question with that one?
The design for the sound.
Oh, our plan with the band shell, and I think I responded to you with this information, is to have a sound engineer take a look at it when we get a little bit farther into the process here and come up with a speaker system that will work to provide directional sound so that it keeps it away from the condos that will be to the north, and then also is able to keep it away from the condos that are behind it. Now, the condos that are on the south end, they're so far away, they're over 1,000 feet away from where the band shell is going to be. So they're not going to have that same impact from the sound, but we can get the directional speakers that we need. It does cost a little bit, but that's something we're going to do once we get closer to finishing up probably closer to the ending of the project.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Councilmember Kadouk.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you, Councilmember Steinke, for agreeing to pull item number 5. I've heard that Fire Station 1 has humidity problems, and we need to know, is it an engineering flaw? So when that's pulled, I want that question answered. Judy, thank you so much for the invite to the Burrowing Owl Festival. I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you. My daughter is a competitive dancer and we're out of town this weekend, so that's why I won't be attending, but thank you for the invite. Carl, thank you again for bringing up the committees and adding an environmental committee. If you didn't have a chance to watch our CAL meeting, I brought up boards and committees and they all died. So that won't be moving forward. Maybe we can do an environmental stakeholders group. Yeah. Also on Redfish Point, I wanted to make sure that this is something that I see all over social media, and I'd like to kind of address it now that we're in a public setting. We, meaning the council and the city, we are not developing Redfish Point or really anything in the city. Think about it. The city doesn't build much except for parks, maybe a building here or there for their next building expansion or something, but the city is not building Redfish Point or developing it. They're coming to us for land use and zoning changes. So I just want to get that clear. I see all over social media, the city is building another car wash or storage unit. The city is not building anything. Developers are developing. Lou, thank you so much for all of your hard work and getting Veterans Day recognized. I think I told you in our one-on-one, my ex-husband is a veteran, and I think it's very important that our children do recognize that in schools, so thank you. And also thank you for the kudos on the boards and committees. Again, this did die, so unfortunately, as long as you guys keep putting the pressure and heat on, I do find it very important to have the public involved in certain the stakeholders groups, which are not advertised, boards and committees. I mean, if you're a taxpayer, that's enough subject matter expert for me, for you guys to be involved. Also, Mr. Higgins, I would like to know too, for the mandatory hookup for irrigation, because I too am on a well and then I will be with the UEP. This came up a few weeks ago with Councilmember Lehman. Do you remember, like, it is mandatory or it's coming to us for a vote?
Yeah, I actually had my button pushed with 2 items, and
Okay,
it was
perfect.
to clarify that comment. So there is an introduction tonight on the agenda, and what the revision to the code stipulates is that if irrigation water comes, I think within 200 feet of your house, you are required to hook up for irrigation.
Okay.
The speaker indicated that he would have to get rid of his well. There is nothing in our code that is going to force him to abandon his well and not be able to use it.
Understood.
What will be required is if you have an irrigation system, you will be forced to connect your irrigation system to the reclaimed water for irrigation purposes.
Understood. But
So
you can
there's
still keep your
there's
well.
a distinction worth noting.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Joanne Gruber, thank you so much for the kudos to the wonderful team working with you guys. I know that we're excited for those items on the agenda to pass. Debbie, you mentioned the CAL meeting. I just want one minor correction. You said the new 5. It's actually minus me, sorry. I did lead the charge on that, so I have to remove myself from that. And also, it's not fair that Lori Lehman had to leave, so she didn't really have a voice in that, so I don't want anyone attacking her for that. Mr. Arthur King, yes, I agree with you. You live in Entrada. I've said this multiple times now on the microphone. I live on the other side. I'm not in an HOA, but my backyard is the Yellow Fever Creek Preserve. And I think that this is one of these ones, and I wrote it on social media if you follow me, where there's no right answer, right? It came before council in 2019. I don't know why this site was selected, but here we are. So, do we use a preserve, and this again, don't attack me, this is just the thought process. Do we use a preserve that's not currently contributing to the tax base, or do we use a commercial space that would eventually contribute tens of millions of dollars to the tax base? No right or wrong answer, but I think that's where the thought process was of why they chose Yellow Fever Creek Preserve. I'm one vote up here, and we have to turn multiple people to change the site, but it is my understanding that if there's 5 of us that want to change the site, we can change the site. So to answer your question, Mr. King, is there a backup site? At this point, no. Dan Shepard, thank you so much, first of all, for your service up here. It's not an easy job. And thank you for recognizing my vision. Hopefully, I've said it, and I continue to say it. Every time I meet with someone, I tell them what I want here in Cape Coral. Also on Burst, I did request some information that was sent to me by staff earlier today, so I'm reviewing that. I totally agree with you. We have to, this is huge for our city. It's big forward thinking, so it's very important that we get this right. So the last 2 are Tom and Julia. Tom, the financial implications on J.C. Park, and Julia, you've asked how much has been invested. So I think this was already answered, but how much has been invested? And I believe I have a different answer. Yes, we're talking about the contractor giving the $48,000, but what we've invested in are design plans, everything. I mean, there's a lot of money on the line here. Do we happen to know that, or if Connie's still here? I mean, we're a lot of money in. The question is, how much has been invested?
By them, not us.
Well, I want to speak for us as the taxpayers because it is our money.
A couple of things. I know what I think what she's referring to is with the concessionaire, and I think Mike addressed that about them not making that payment yet. The city up to this point has paid about $634,000 to the FPC, the contractor doing the work. We have given them notice to proceed on another $7.5 million worth of work out there. That does not include any cost associated with the design that has been done by Pannoni, which is probably about at least another $500,000.
So over $8 million so
Yes.
far.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
And more to come, so.
Exactly, exactly, thank you. So the financial implications for that, I mean, yeah, I mean, I know, it's one of these, but we have, 30 people here that are upset. I will tell you, I've said it before, when I came on council, all I thought about was you guys, but we do receive emails saying move forward, and that's, I mean, they're public records, go ahead and request them. There is a whole huge city here that does want to see this move forward, and I've specifically asked people that have sat on council previously that live in J.C. Park, will this improve your property values? And all of them absolutely agree it will. So I know it hurts. Change sucks. It is what it is. It's already happening. It is what it is. I'm so sorry that's not what you want to hear, but we have to be good stewards of everyone's taxpayer money in the city. So we're $8 million and going in. It's going to be great when it's done. Sorry, not sorry. Thank you.
Councilmember Kilrain.
Yeah, let me start by saying, Mr. Murth, I hope that when we have this discussion a little bit later, when that resolution is pulled, that we're able to talk through what those issues are in the plenum and see what we can apply to that. Let me address things in general with respect to two topics. One being the committees versus the stakeholder groups. My intent was primarily to make sure that we got better resident involvement and better resident reach through those processes. I thought that through the town halls having the one-on-one communications and by allowing a hybrid, if you will, a modification to the way we normally would be doing some of the stakeholder groups, we could affect a better input from residents and a better appeal to a residents. I've talked about this thoroughly with the city manager and the process going forward. And at some point, you may want to share some of the details of what you're looking at and how you feel that would be done, Mike, city manager. And I'll just run through it and maybe you can just pick up on that a little bit. But basically, the intent is to improve the process. I guarantee if the process doesn't work well, we'll be back here talking about committees or some other structure. I would rather focus on content and getting things completed and effectiveness as opposed to worrying about the process itself and the cost associated with the process. And we're encumbered when we go to statutory advisory committees. It's sunshine, it's full legal compliance, and it really encumbers the operation and the facility of that, the agility of that process. So that's my position on it, and that's why I took that position. The second thing on J.C. Park. It was very important for everyone outside of this chamber and within this chamber to understand that we as a city honor our contracts. The prior council, and again, I don't want to distinguish right now, we are the council. We upheld that contract because it was important to do. I think that it's important for the commercial world to understand that we uphold contracts and they're binding. Now, having said that, was there an opportunity to default them under the contract? Well, yeah, we probably could going forward from November 10th. But that contract, the way it's administered, it's administered through the contract itself. It would have been an administrative call. We didn't make that call. We didn't provide that notice. That was a while back, and we continued to move forward. We moved to December 16th when their letter was written saying that there was a little bit of concern about whether or not we were going to honor that contract. Well, we put nails in that coffin by reaffirming the contract, and I was one of the strongest people saying that we need to have and work through the four corners of the contract so that we have a reputation as a city of upholding our word. Now, based on that, we gave them notice to proceed. So that notice to proceed triggers a lot of things. It triggers them to having to do reports the next month on the 10th of each month. The notice to proceed, I think, was provided on January 27th, effective January 31st. So basically on March 10th, we'll get their first report. It also triggers the fact that we are abiding by four corners of the contract. We can extract performance against that contract with a lower risk of having another issue from a legal standpoint. So that's the basis under which we can now forcefully execute. And if money isn't received in time on this thing, there will become a point when I'll be asking the question, why aren't we defaulting them? We're not there yet. We have time left. That letter requested 90 days a condition. We didn't agree to that, but we're executing like we did to reduce that risk. So I don't think it was administratively agreed to. We just acknowledged receiving the letter. So I'm trying to reduce all the external risks so that the city benefits from being able to both get performance under the contract and also reduce any cost that we might take on because we're trying to be less responsive than we might have been in holding them down to that November 10th date. So that's it on J.C. Park, and that's where I stand. And there are the two issues. And with respect to the irrigation part, I think we'll talk about that further on Saturday. There's going to be a town hall held on Saturday on water, as we discussed on the North Aquifer, and that's all open game to discuss. One other thing with the burrowing owls, as you mentioned, there are 5 items on the consent agenda, and I very much appreciate all you guys do for the city. I responded that I have another commitment that day, but I will try and make it down there whatever time I can to participate, and I thank you for all you do. Let me see if there's anything else, Mayor, just real quick. Dan Shepherd, as far as vision is concerned, I've always had a vision about trying to reduce the resident burden on taxes, and that's really the whole mechanism of being able to provide additional commercial and manufacturing opportunities here. I started that vision way back in 20, and I continued it all through this process. So maybe it was too subtle in the way I did it, but my vision is to get some high technology in here, either from a service standpoint and or a real neat niche that we can capitalize upon. And I'll continue to pursue that vision. And that's just a a North Star that I have that I'm focused on. I think we'll handle the Entrada stuff on Saturday, and that's it for me, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lastra.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things. So the J.C. Park issue, yes, I agree with Councilmember Kaduke. I think you said it best. I know I've beat that dead horse up here saying that, I knew before the primary if that P3 went through, it would be difficult for us to recoup any costs that we'd already spent on it. So I'm not gonna reiterate that because I think it's been said up here. I do hope, though, moving forward with the stakeholders group, that any enhancements will be considered and we'll be able to make positive changes that the residents will compromise and agree with. So I do hope for that. In terms of the groups, the boards and committees, I was on budget review. I love that committee. I know when I ran, I said I really missed it, and I felt that group needed to come back. The other group that I talked about when I ran was the Water Advisory Board, because at the time, we had just come out of a 2018 water crisis in Southwest Florida that cost us millions and millions of dollars in tourism dollars because of the water quality. So when we sat in our CAL meeting, if you all watched it, two things struck me. First of all, back, I want to say last year in the fall, the city hosted a town hall for the budget. And I don't know how many people came to that meeting. Do you know? How many? 5? That's what I thought. It was hard to tell because I watched it online and it looked empty, but I just had to ask that question. So 5 people, let's say 5-10 people came to that. The other thing that struck me was that Mr. City Manager had talked about putting you had a meeting set up for the Water Advisory Board, and only one person RSVP'd that they would come?
3.
And how many people were on that board?
I think it was 3.
3? And how many people were on that board?
I think
can't
12 were, 10 or 12 were
That's
invited.
what I thought. So that's another thing that struck me. Although, we always want citizen input. We talked about that with stakeholders group. You heard Mr. Petrella discuss, if you want to come to a stakeholders group, you certainly let them know and come. We talked about the stakeholders group this past weekend at my town hall. One of the things that I am encouraged with this group, our group, is that we are doing town halls regularly. Several of us already have ours scheduled out through the year, and that's a great way for citizens to come and learn, not just about things that are specific to your district, but they're specific citywide. My town hall really was heavily based on the old golf course because that's in my district, and I'm very excited about. Talk about vision. I have been waiting for that since I ran the first time in 2017, and to have an opportunity with a blank canvas is wonderful. And to say early on that we have an amazing Parks and Recs director who gets it, and he wants citizens' input. He wants, we weren't here when J.C. Park went down, so we can't totally speak to that, but I can promise, and I did promise the residents that came that, they would have citizen input and involvement. And as long as I was their representative or the representative in that district, I would make sure of that. And people who know me believe that. So I'm really excited about that opportunity. So we have a lot of opportunities for citizens to get involved. It may not look like the boards and committees previously, but these stakeholder groups are incredible. And if we have these town hall opportunities and only 5 people show up, I mean, do residents really want to be involved? I mean, I would think so. My town hall, there were over 75 people there, so it was pretty incredible. And then talking about Yellow Fever Creek really quickly, the one thing that I learned back in 2018-19 when this first came up is that we have looked at Academic Village. We looked at that and we realized that it would be a $4 million cost to the residents in order for us to put the water tanks there. I distinctly remember Councilmember Cosden grilling the then city manager regarding it and Mr. Pearson about those water tanks and having to be in Yellow Creek Preserve. And many people have asked, and it is simple, right? What do you prefer? Do you prefer preserving the green space, or do you prefer commercial development? And my response is, I prefer both, because our city lacks sorely in both. Our commercial tax base is so low, and it will continue to be low. So we always say, you know, we got to try to preserve as much commercial as we can, Academic Village. And then we look at, you know, Yellow Fever Creek, where we want to put these water tanks, and we don't have much green space, right? Redfish Point, I think, is our next biggest opportunity to preserve that or choose to develop it, whichever side of the issue you sit on. So that's one of the things that I've said to everybody at Yellow Fever Creek. And the other thing I want to point out is on Pine Island Road, there is a water tank. And a lot of people don't know that because they can't see it. But I think there could be a potential opportunity that I'll bring up when that vote comes on, to maybe have a little bit of a compromise. So stay tuned. And then vision, Mr. Shepherd, I think you know, I've said it a million times. When I ran the first time and my daughter was 10 and she swore to me, 10-year-old Piper swore to me that she would never come back here because there wasn't anything for her to do. And I said, my goal is to make this city someplace where our future leaders go away and they want to come back and lead where they grew up. Well, clearly I have more work to do because she's almost 20 and has announced she's moving to West Virginia to be an EMT. So there's that. But, you know, that is definitely a vision, and I think that encompasses a lot of things. It encompasses arts and culture, it encompasses green space, it encompasses the old golf course. I mean, it could be anything. The permits that we just got to finish up and get moving on the yacht club. Amenities, I talked a lot about amenities. You know, out of 6 municipalities, we are the one lacking in amenities, and we're the largest municipality in our county. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, seeing no other lights on, we'll move on to item 9A, is the consent agenda. Mr. City Manager?
Mayor, I had one other item I just wanted to address.
Okay.
I don't normally do this, but I feel it's important with the purchasing of the land for the owls under the Fish and Wildlife Grant. I do think it is important for me to recognize Carl Vo, a citizen who advocated on behalf of that, actually went to the FWC on behalf of our community to get money back that our developers and our community pays in for relocations or collapsing boroughs, and actually advocated to bring that money back to our community so that we can continue to enjoy those animals and utilize them as a form of ecotourism. So I would just like to personally thank Carl for all his efforts. And tonight, as another speaker said, is a great night for our community in that regard. Money was leaving our community. We found a way to get it back. You all accepted it, and now we're executing. Thank you.
Okay, I'll now open up the consent agenda. Open up any consent agenda items for council of the pool. I'll give you the opportunity.
I got my light on, but, yeah, Mayor, I'd like to pull item number 5, Resolution 47-25.
Okay, item number 5, and Councilmember Kilrain.
Yeah, I'd like to pull item number 1, Resolution 6525, for discussion purposes only.
Okay. Seeing no other items, I entertain a motion to approve the remaining items on the consent agenda.
So moved.
So moved. Second?
Madam City Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Long. Aye. Steinke.
Aye.
Donnell.
Aye.
Gunter.
Aye.
Paduk.
Aye.
Kilrain.
Aye.
Lastra.
Aye.
Lehman.
Aye.
8 ayes, motion carried.
Okay, item number 1, Resolution 65-25 was pulled by Councilmember Kilrain, so I'll give you the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Basically, what I wanted to do is just communicate again the basis for this resolution, in that we're expanding, reordering the UEP execution order by moving Section 6, North 6, up and beginning work on that. We have begun work on that based on this new thing. We will be giving the authorization to do that. And in addition to that, we've expanded the area of 6 so that it now encompasses the rest of that restricted area that the district had placed under restriction. So between 6 and northeast 1 and northeast, east and west, really 1, we should have that whole area covered. City Manager, is there anything else you'd like to comment on that?
No, I think that touches it well. This schedule that we publish is important for our investment community, our real estate community, our residents who were possibly preparing to fund, that as part of North 4, now get some relief. Our residents who were in North 6, who were possibly looking at 5 years from, 10 years from now, now have to be advised of a new timeline. So it is important that the council take this action, formally publish, adopt it so we can publish a new map and allow our residents, our investors, and our real estate agents to be able to get that word out, and people can start making adjustments in their homes.
Thank you. And that is one of the steps necessary so that we can save our potable water for the right use. The more quickly we get people on the UEP, it saves our potable water for the vital services that potable water serves. We do that with the reclaim plant up north, and that's going to get us back. So if we get this in time, with the new lower water source up there, it'll buy us enough time that we can get through without a whole lot more restrictions. So that's the game plan. And very competent people are working that from both the district and the city. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion for Resolution 65-25.
So moved to approve.
Is any council discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Long. Aye. Steinke.
Aye.
Donnell. Aye. Gunter.
Aye.
Paduk.
Aye.
Kilrain.
Aye.
Lastra.
Aye.
Lehman.
Aye.
8 ayes, motion carried.
Okay, item number 5, Resolution 47-25. Councilmember Steinke, you pulled this item. I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. My main concern in that is to replace the unit 4 to 5 years ago and looking at putting another $750,000 into it when it looks like there may be some other issues there that we should talk about. I wanted some more information on that before I'd feel comfortable about replacing a unit that it may be an environmental issue more than it is a mechanical issue. So I'd love some information on that.
Sure, I'll see if Public Works or the fire chief are available to discuss the mechanical, electrical situation.
And it appears that he is.
Yeah. We'll have to get you a rear view mirror.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mike Russell, Acting Fire Chief. Last year, when we began recognizing major issues with some of the air conditioning systems, we did commission a study. And that study was done by a professional air conditioning engineering firm. We work very closely with the folks in Public Works, Facilities Maintenance Department that work on our city facilities and maintain those city facilities for us whenever possible. So when that study came back, it was all inclusive. It included the plenum space. It included what insulation might be needed, what are the therapeutic ranges, what humidity, what we could do to reduce the humidity, et cetera. The systems referenced are not the same systems that were replaced in 2018. They are different systems. They are original systems inside the building. What we're replacing, the system now helps reduce the humidity in the system. It is not the same as the air conditioning. They're kind of two different things, okay? And with that, we are complying with the recommendations from the study through these repairs and maintenance that we're currently asking to be able to do.
So if I understand you correctly, then it's not a replacement of the equipment that was put in 4 to 5 years ago, but it's additional equipment that would allow that equipment to last longer and perform more correctly and bring down some of these potential mildew, mold issues from the sweating, from the additional humidity that gets created in the plenum.
Correct. And with that, additionally, We do air monitoring in the stations, and there's not been any spikes in mold. We've cleaned the ducts, et cetera. There are portable air conditioning units in there that keep the space livable, if you will. So it's not like there's no air conditioning in the system, but we are replacing the systems as per the recommendations of the study. In addition, when the systems are replaced, the firm is going to come back out and then fine-tune everything to make sure it's working in compliance with their recommendations.
And that would be in concert with the existing equipment so that the two are working toward the same ultimate goal.
Harmonious, if you will, yes.
That's all I needed to hear.
Thank you, Councilmember Donnell.
It's just, I'm a little confused. I was going to pull it. So how does that marry up with what the speaker said earlier? Because what I heard earlier was that we were replacing it, but to keep that money and then use that money for a different issue. So those are two different issues. Could someone clear the air for me?
I can try to answer that. Damon Grant, Assistant Public Works Director. So the AC systems in the fire stations mentioned are approximately 4 to 5 years old. But what we don't have working correctly are the AEON systems that work in tandem with the HVAC systems. And the AEON systems are meant to help reduce humidity and bring outdoor air into the facility, actually heat the air before it goes into the HVAC system, which cools it down and is able to produce a less humid conditioned space. So the AEON units haven't been working properly. Those are original units, so they range between 15 and 18 years old. Those are the ones that we're following the engineer's recommendations to replace, and they will work in tandem with the newer HVAC systems that were replaced 4 to 5 years ago.
And that's what's in front of us, that AEON system that you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I'm good. That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Kilrain.
Yeah, mine was directed pretty much at that point. You're using a thermal absorption system, or are you just using thermal?
It's basically air source heat pump is what we're putting in with the
Okay,
AEON systems.
all right. That was, I want to get the technology of the support system for us, so thank you, appreciate it.
And I guess the only comment I want to make on Station 1, this $754,822 is not only for Station 1, it's Station 1, 8, and 9, correct?
Yes, sir. We have two systems in Station 1. We have two systems in Station 9 and 1 at 8. So there's actually 5 AEON systems that are being replaced. And these systems, I'll just note, are compliant with the new A2L EPA refrigerant requirements that just started January of this year. We were trying to get all of these done last year prior to that requirement, but we weren't able to do it. So these are all compliant with the new EPA regulations, and it will be for the tear out of the old, installation of the new, and any ancillary work required to do so.
All right, thank you. My next question is for the city attorney, Mr. City Attorney, and I know, just to try to give me a summary overview, it doesn't have to be that detailed specific. Christel Construction, do we have an issue with them on another contract that they've entered into with the city?
There is a potential issue regarding some work that they have done for the city, yes.
And there's a possibility of some legal,
We're optimistic to avoid a potential, we're optimistic to work with them to avoid a potential initiating a legal action against them.
the concern that I guess I have is we have an issue with a particular contractor that we've used before, and there's a potential for some legal litigation, but we are continuing to award contracts to that particular contractor before that litigation has either been corrected or the issues with the previous contract. It's very similar if you hire a contractor to do some plumbing in your house and you have some problems with it and it doesn't go as like it's supposed to. Why would you go and hire that contractor to do some electrical work? I don't think any of us in this room would probably do that. So for me personally, because there's a potential for some outside legal litigation with this particular contract, until that gets resolved, I don't understand why we are continuing to award contract. So for me, I'll be a no vote specifically tonight on this for that reason alone. Mr. City Manager, I see your light on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since you brought it up, might as well let the community know what's going on. So when we did the Southeast 47 Terrace project, there was some underground utility work that was a part of that project. The project commenced from the west end towards the east end, so from Coronado over towards Del Prado. The very end of the project, there was some work that, in closing up, we have found just recently, this late fall, almost I think October, November timeframe, there was a pole that was sinking, a street light. And when we went in to try to figure out what was happening, what was determined was when they drilled the precast pole base, they drilled it into the top of the storm drain, and it sat there for years, functioning well, hooked up to electric, drain worked underneath it, but as it started slowly over time to sink, it started to cause a backup. That's why we had some flooding in Big John's parking lot. And so when we went in there to remedy the situation, it was an emergency because we had some flooding situations. Council, you all may remember we had an emergency contract for that repair work. So this is now what we would call a latent damage situation, where the work was done, and through time, we've been able to determine that there was something that was not picked up when the original inspection was done. And so Public Works, I am confident, is going to work with this contractor. This contractor that you are considering awarding to tonight is recognized in Southwest Florida as one of the premier construction companies. They were recognized at, I forget the name of the event, but they have the ability to remedy the situation. That process has not played out. I had, just as you brought up, I had a discussion with my staff, both finance, procurement, public works, and through a discussion, all of them are confident that when presented the discussion to the vendor and they are made aware of the situation, that there will be some type of remedy. It is a possibility that they disagree and they challenge and they say, no, we have proof that at inspection it was fine. We'll have to discuss with legal how to cross that. But as we sit here tonight, it is not the recommendation of administration. This award is being done under another contract that they already have as part of a continuing contract. So it is not our recommendation to penalize them on another contract for something we haven't worked through with them to see how they're going to respond. If and when we do, it comes back to me that they are not willing and we have proof that there was work that either wasn't completed or billed incorrectly. Absolutely, the recommendation from my office to you all will be no further work, and we would actually look at going a step further, which would be to bar them from any future work. But all of this is taking way more, is premature, because I'm not even sure if Public Works has had a chance to talk to them. Now that it's out there, they may be notified before we even had a chance to discuss it with them. So, but that's what's going on. Thank you.
Public Works Director, would they be able to advise if they've had any discussion with them, with the contractor?
Damon, do you know if you've had a chance to discuss this with the vendor?
Was this, I'm sorry, discussions with which project?
Christel.
So the project was the Southeast 47th Streetscape,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a meeting with Stormwater and the Public Works Administration.
I was not part of that project, so I can't speak to it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh, I can get you the information.
And lastly, Mr. City Attorney, where I can vote for approval and have that good confidence level, what type of discussion have you had? Have we sent any notices to the company?
No, not at this point in time. I was surprised at the situation, I think within last week, maybe. And not knowing who this player is, the request was made to see if they will make the city whole regarding the monetary amount before I put them on any type of legal notification that I intend to pursue. The recoupment of our costs by way of either their insurance and or them. And so in order to avail the Public Works staff, administrative staff of those relief, I'm waiting to hear from them before I execute accordingly.
Thank you. Councilmember Steinke.
Yeah, I see that there's other lights on. Let me ask a question, and maybe the other lights that are on maybe would come up after I'd make a motion. But is it possible to make a motion for approval contingent on the resolution of that issue?
If there's consensus on that, or at least 5 of you, then maybe I would say let's continue it to the next regular council meeting. I think that will probably give the administration for Public Works the sufficient amount of time in order to get that.
And would we be able to continue to wrap this in another contract that we're dealing with?
I think, and I'm not going to speak for the city manager, but I thought that there was a bit of an urgency regarding fire stations 1.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not intruding in that.
No, you're good. That's
Yeah,
okay.
there was a concern regarding the potential delay associated with pushing this off because of the circumstances associated with the level of repair that needs to occur at these fire stations. And part of the reason why I say that is what you do not know, and I don't want to get into it necessarily, is that there has been certain representations made by the union regarding the conditions of the fire station and whether or not that is a concern of them under their collective bargaining agreement. So I don't want to go into beyond that.
Okay.
And so it was determined that that there was prudency in moving forward based upon the concerns associated with the fire stations.
And is it so urgent that it would sound like 2 weeks would be perilous?
Well, in other words, is there 9 to 12 months of design built into this?
Well, I mean,
This
the
is
fire chief just got up there at the podium and said that there was no issues at Station 1. We have, individual air conditioners, and we did this study. So where all of a sudden is the sense of urgency that we can't wait for 2 weeks?
I'm not going to speak on behalf of the fire chief, so.
Sir, there are issues at Station 1, as we've highlighted, but we are maintaining those issues. Part of what we're trying to do is accomplish these repairs and maintenance before the hot summer season in Florida. That is providing us some concern that if we don't get these, the ball rolling, if you will, because we still have to source these products, which are new because of the new federal regulation, they're going to take some time to source. So I would like to also highlight the urgency in this request.
Thank you. Councilmember Donnell?
I think just for the balance of the conversation with this particular person, Christelle, have they done work before? Is this their first one? How many projects up to this date, prior to this date, have we used them for?
Yes, we've awarded contracts to them since then,
Okay.
since October.
But for that matter, I mean, things happen. I understand what the mayor is saying. This one, I'll be in support of it because things happen. That's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Lastra?
I don't know, listening to this discussion, and I understand what you're saying, Chief. I get it. But I'm just wondering if maybe we should delay this, like you said, like Councilmember Stanky said, like you suggested, Mayor. I would just feel more comfortable with that. I'm not trying to kick the can down the road, Councilmember Long, but I just think I would feel more comfortable because I feel like we don't have enough information. That would be my recommendation, or I would support what was stated earlier. Thank you, Mayor.
Motion to continue this item to a date certain, the date certain being our next council meeting that's going to be provided by
Second.
our incredible city clerk.
It would be March 5th, starting at 5 o'clock in this council chambers.
Madam City Clerk, could you please incorporate that into the motion?
And this second agrees?
Yes, sir.
All right. Councilmember Kadook?
Thank you. So just to be clear, this is a continuation of a contract that they already have, correct?
This is being awarded, Damon, this is being awarded under a continuing contract for GC services?
So for that reason, I don't agree with continuing, and I would agree with approving it tonight. They are a reputable builder in this area, and we haven't even given them a chance to correct any issues that came up this evening. Therefore, I disagree with continuing this, and I would vote to approve it tonight. We're already in the 80 degrees and rising every single day, so sooner. Thank you.
Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I find myself in a unique situation. So,
Weeks can't hurt it.
I would recommend we pull the item. If there is sufficient concern from you all, I want you to be reassured, I had this discussion with my staff, and my entire team said, this needs to happen for the fire station reason, as well as it's a continuing contract that they are not failing under their performance. We have not had a chance to discuss with them an issue that we found from work they did many years ago. I don't know how they're going to respond. But if there's concern from you all, that's enough pause for me, regardless of what my team and I discussed, to say, I'll pull the item. I'll see if we can award it to another vendor. You know, they may be upset. But I have no idea in the next 2 weeks how they're going to respond to what we put before them. And so they're likely going to want plans. They're going to want to pull up their files. To get to some resolution, it is not going to happen in 2 weeks. And so I don't have any confidence level sitting before you here that I'm going to be able to resolve a multi-$100,000 issue with a reputable firm in the next 2 weeks on an issue that came from a contract with them many years ago.
Councilmember Steinke.
Thank you. I think all of us here, this 8, and everyone that's in the audience or at home knows that stuff happens. How it's handled is really what matters. Here we've got something that happened many years ago. And so there could be all kinds of mitigating factors that we don't know anything about. We've not, to Councilmember Kaduk's point, we've not even given them the opportunity to fix it. With what's coming, again, I bring back just, could a motion be made to approve contingent upon them doing something to resolve this situation? Can a motion be made like that?
In theory, yes, it could. I'm just a little bit concerned that it won't meet the needs of city administration or fire, because at what point in time do I draw the line? And I think that's my biggest concern.
The concern for them to kick the can down the road too far as what they're going to do and how they're going to handle the resolution.
And I'm more concerned about what was expressed to me from both the fire and the city manager, in a sense that if I get into a dispute with them, at what point in time do we draw the line? And so I think that's where we're struggling, or at least I'm struggling with. My objective is clear, for the most part.
Okay, yeah, so that being said, with the business we've already done with them in the past, with them being a reputable company, them not having a chance to do anything about it up until now, and as busy as they probably are to be able to get out there and find a resolution within the next 2 weeks, I would be comfortable with standing on their past performance for us, other than this one isolated incident from years ago that we resolve it this evening. So I would not be in favor of kicking the can down the road here. So, thanks.
Councilmember Lehman.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with Councilmember Kaduk. I don't think it should be put off. The fire departments, the fire stations need this taken care of. We've done work with this contractor before. Yeah, things happen. As long as they're rectifying what had happened, I don't see any reason to put it off. It just seems to me it would only, then to have to come back to it, it would only be more expensive. Thank you.
Councilmember Long.
Just to be clear, My motion to continue wasn't an indictment on the company themselves or their inability or ability to fulfill the contract. It was simply to get more information. I mean, this is news that was just brought to me, 10 minutes ago. I wish it was 10 minutes ago. It's probably been longer that we've been talking about it. But that was it. I don't want that to be misconstrued, by anybody that might be watching or the company themselves. It was simply just to gather more information on a topic that I have no idea about.
Thank you.
And my response to that was to say the 2 weeks, I don't think is going to be sufficient to even gather their documents, gather our documents, what was inspected, what wasn't, did we have videos afterwards, When you make a claim like this or an accusation, it's involved. It's going to take some time. So if my response remains, if there's concern, I don't have a problem with just pulling it and going and looking at another contractor with procurement.
Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Steinke.
If we do that, then we're definitely gonna have several weeks involved to go out and get another contractor. So we'll be in the same bailiwick that we're talking about now. Okay, thanks.
All right, seeing no other discussion, we got a motion and a second on the floor. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Can we repeat what the motion is?
could you
Yep, it's a motion to continue consent agenda item 9A5, known as Resolution 4725, to March 5th at 5 p.m. in council chambers. A motion to continue.
Okay.
Long,
Aye.
Steinke,
No.
Donnell,
No.
Gunter,
Aye.
Paduk,
No.
Kilrain,
No.
Lastra,
Aye, and wait, can I say something real quick? I'm gonna say aye, but this goes back to anticipating the question. I mean, I guess, when an issue like this happens, and if there's a reason that there was a mistake made or something, we should just anticipate that question from us and give us more information than we need, maybe. But yes, aye.
Lehman,
No.
3 ayes, 5 nays. Motion to continue failed.
Motion to approve, item 4725.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Long,
Aye.
Steinke,
Aye.
Donnell,
Aye.
Gunter,
Aye.
Paduk,
Aye.
Kilrain,
Aye.
Lastra,
Aye.
Lehman,
Aye.
8 ayes, motion carried.
Okay, let's move on to next item on the agenda, which is 9C, unfinished business, follow-up items for council. There's none listed. Follow-up items for city management, there's none listed. D1, new business, we do not have any. Item 10 is ordinance and resolutions. 10A is public hearing, quasi-judicial hearing. We have ordinance 5-25. Madam City Clerk, please read the title.
Ordinance 5-25, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Cape Coral, Florida, that amends the city of Cape Coral, Florida official zoning district map of all property within the limits of the city of Cape Coral by rezoning property described as all of block 2553B, unit 37, Cape Coral subdivision, from neighborhood commercial to commercial zone. Property is located at 723 Nelson Road, providing for severability and an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. Because this is a quasi-judicial proceeding pursuant to our code, if there are any ex parte communications that have occurred regarding this quasi-judicial hearing, this would be the time to disclose those conversations.
Any ex parte communications, any council members? Nope. All right, this is a quasi-judicial hearing. Anyone wishing to speak or provide testimony must be sworn in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, I'll turn it over to Mr. Struve. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. For the record, Mike Struve, Planning Team Coordinator with the Planning Division. My credentials are on file with the City Clerk's Office. This request before you is a city-initiated rezoning request. The city is requesting to rezone 1.5 acres from the neighborhood commercial to the commercial zoning district. The subject site is located at 723 Nelson Road. The site is located at the intersection of two major streets, Tropicana Parkway and Nelson Road. Site is currently vacant. Surrounding uses consist mainly of scattered single-family home sites with the exception of property to the west, which includes lands located in the Stonewater development. Subject site has a future land use classification of commercial professional, and that future land use classification was approved by the City Council last year. Future land use was amended from the Commercial Activity Center to the Commercial Professional future land use classification. The current zoning is marketplace of residential, or I'm sorry, neighborhood commercial, or NC. And the proposal before you this evening is to rezone the site to the C, or the commercial zoning district. Again, the site is at the intersection of two major streets. The existing neighborhood commercial zoning allows over 40 permitted uses and includes multifamily development, and the zoning district also allows mixed-use development. Under the current zoning, a maximum of 85% of the site could be developed with multifamily uses. The proposed C zoning district allows over 50 permitted uses and does not allow any non-residential uses. Residential development of all types are permitted in the C zoning district. And I just want to mention real briefly here that the existing NC zoning district is consistent with the current CP future land use classification, as is the proposed C zoning district. The reason why we are bringing this request before you this evening is to preclude the opportunity of the vast majority of this site being developed with residential uses. We think that that would be a missed opportunity if this site was developed with as much as 85% multifamily uses. In terms of our analysis, this request complies with all of those standards used to evaluate rezoning requests in our land development code. The requested C zoning is supported by several policies appearing in our comprehensive plan that are outlined in our staff report. And approval of the request will ensure that the site is developed with non-residential or commercial uses. Staff is recommending approval of this request. The hearing examiner considered this case and recommended approval at a public hearing in December. There were no speakers at that particular public hearing. We have had one phone call, actually with the property owner of this site. The owner did not express any opposition to this rezoning request, and I will stand by in case you have any questions.
Thank you. I will now open up public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on ordinance 5-25, please come forward. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion regarding ordinance 5-25?
Motion to approve ordinance 7-25.
Second.
5-25?
I'm sorry, 5-25.
And I believe Councilmember Kilrain seconded.
Second, yeah.
All right, I open up for any council discussion. Councilmember Kadook.
Thank you. It was said in the staff presentation, and thank you so much. I think it's very important to note that the current existing neighborhood commercial zoning allows for 40 plus, including multifamily uses. This is a very important zoning change to commercial, which now has 50 plus non-residential uses, and residential development is prohibited. I think it's very important that we keep telling that to the public, because all over social media we see stop the multifamily. This is a great opportunity for us to do so. Thank you.
My quick question is, this was city initiated. Can you explain why this particular parcel was city initiated?
Yes, about a year ago, we identified, as part of a planning effort, opportunities to increase our amount of commercial lands north of Pine Island Road. And there were several areas of the city that we identified. Most of them consisted of multiple parcels. But this was one site consisting of a single site that we felt that a city-initiated rezoning request was warranted. And again, the reason we're bringing this forward again is to preclude any opportunity of the site being developed with multifamily uses. We think that this site is best suited for commercial uses in an area of the city that is growing. that could benefit from some type of small commercial use to meet the goods and services demanded by people in that area of the city.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Law?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, that was actually my question, was it's not necessarily something we see a lot, that the city initiates some of these, so I appreciate that clarification. And then, I guess, since I have the floor, I just want to reiterate Councilwoman Kaduk's affirmation that it is positive that we are bringing death to neighborhood commercial in this particular context, and reiterate to this council that that is the core component of the burst that we continue to talk about time and again. So that's my shameless plug to keep that in mind. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no other lights on, we have motion second on the floor. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Long. Aye. Steinke.
Aye.
Donnell.
Aye.
Gunter.
Aye.
Paduk.
Aye.
Kilrain.
Aye.
Lastra.
Aye.
Lehman. 8 ayes, motion carried.
Okay, moving on to item B, public hearing, legislative hearings. There's none listed, so we'll go on to item 10C, introductions, first of which is ordinance 7-25. Madam City Clerk, please read title, set the public hearing date.
Ordinance 7-25, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Cape Coral, Florida, amending chapter 19, water and sewer utilities, article 1, general provisions, section 19-2.5, connection to approved sewer system and municipal water system mandatory upon availability, regarding mandatory connections of reclaimed water systems, providing severability and an effective date. The public hearing will be March 5th, 2025.
Thank you. Any discussion by staff or council? Seeing none, we'll move on to ordinance 8-25. Madam City Clerk, please read title, set the public hearing date.
Ordinance 8-25, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Cape Coral, Florida, amending ordinance 64-23 relating to the name change of the CC Community Development District to Cape Coral Town Center Community Development District, providing for severability and an effective date. The public hearing will be March 5th, 2025.
Thank you. Councilmember Steinke?
Thank you. And just quickly, we don't have to go into major detail on it here. I just had a quick question. In the second whereas, it says that this name change would be to better enable the district to accomplish the purpose for which it was formed. Is there a quick, why does it help just having the name change? Or is that something that's going to be lengthy and then we just keep it for the public hearing?
It was the request that came from the actual applicant. I'm sorry, from the CDD, which is the Coral Grove, the developer.
Okay.
They wanted it more specifically to identify, instead of it being CC, for it to be the full name.
I got you.
Yep.
All right, that's all I needed. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no other discussion, we'll move on to ordinance 9-25. Madam City Clerk, please read the title, set the public hearing date.
Ordinance 9-25, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Cape Coral, Florida, approving contract amendment number 3 of contract number RFP-PW 10-15/PB between the city of Cape Coral, Florida and Waste Pro of Florida, Inc., extending the solid waste bulk drop-off site services, authorizing the city manager or their designee to execute contract amendment number 3, providing for severability and an effective date. The public hearing will be March 5th, 2025.
Any discussion by staff or council? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 12, reports. Councilmember Steinke, report.
Yes, thank you. On the 7th February, I attended the Youth Council meeting. I think it's notable that they have 2 projects going on that are just having excellent progress with. The seniors in the Youth Council have been basically taking a road show out to the schools in the area, letting them know how local governments work, and edifying them on how leadership inside of communities work. And that's they're actually going to be up for an award for that. They're in a competition, and that's being submitted to the Florida League of Cities for a Youth Council Award. And the juniors have a project going on where they're collecting books to be taken to the Golisano Children's Hospital for reading to the children that are there in the hospital. And there's been a tremendous response to that by the public, bringing books to take to the hospital for that effort. On the 12th of February, I was chaired our special CRA meeting where we dealt with our banner system, that could be a great addition to our downtown area. The 13th of February, I represented the city at the Tourist Development Council meeting, where I was selected to be a part of the events and beach and shoreline committees that take a look at requests for money that comes out of TDC. And certainly you saw in our COW that we've been doing a lot of research on being able to support the type of tourist tax dollars that we bring in and so kind of setting the foundation for additional requests for those dollars to come into our area to do things like performance arts halls and a variety of others. And on the 14th of February, I attended the joint MPO meeting where we met jointly with the MPO for Charlotte County on issues that are attacking the dollars that we would use for things like Burnstore Road. Certainly the Burnstore Road project eclipses the county line, and so we have to coordinate our efforts in those types of requests for what we need in our side of that line that enters, has the people enter our city from the north, and then of course coming out of Punta Gorda in Charlotte County as they would make our way down to us. And that's it for me.
Councilmember Donnell.
I want to echo that on the 14th. I also attended the joint meeting of the MPO, and what I found, I just found it encouraged was the fact that all of us, when I say the area, surrounding areas, we all have an interest, and we're pointing what we say in education in the same direction about what we want to see happen over on the Burnstore Road amongst the county. So it's just refreshing to see that everybody's working together. So and there's strength in numbers. So that was good. And I'd be remiss if I missed it last time. I want to say that I did attend the Dr. Kerry Robinson Littleton Parade of Musical Instruments, and it was fantastic to see some of our kids there. And that's all, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Gaduk.
Thank you. On February 6th, I attended the Horizon Council annual meeting. I believe you guys probably read a copy of my email that I sent to the Horizon Council after that meeting. I think that we are going to start to put Cape Coral on the map and get the respect that we deserve. On February 11th, I met with Commissioner Brian Hammond and asked him how I can better collaborate with the county so that our needs are being met here in Cape Coral as the largest municipality. On February 14th, I attended the Horizon Council executive meeting, again putting Cape Coral on the map, making sure our needs are met and that we are a good partner with our county businesses and also local elected officials. And then I rushed off from that meeting to the joint MPO meeting, which I sat in the back, but I was there, guys. I was there with you. I thought it was interesting that they had mentioned that the Burnstore Marina, they suggested setting up an MSTU, an ad valorem tax, for the marina properties, which again is not part of our city, but I thought that was a good idea that they brought forward, a fraction of the millage to help pay for that, which I thought was great. So I wanted to bring that forward, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Councilmember Kilrain.
Sure. I attended the Cape Coral Bike Nights for a short period of time, and I just wanted to bring out the fact that that was reorganized this year, I guess last year, and then it was really held to that reorganization this year. And there were some safety concerns with respect to that, and that's the reason why it was structured the way it had been this year. And hats off to the chief and the police department and the city management for taking that step, because I think although there were some concerns about the way that the bikes were displayed in an off-site lot or not well-lit lot, they were minor compared to the sense of urgency required to improve the safety of that. So that was a very, very good event. I also participated in the retirement of Officer Vandersloot, and it was a tremendous turnout, sad occasion and a happy occasion packed into one. Oasis Charter School Board, I attended on February 11th as a board participant. Three noteworthy things, or maybe four. The foundation for the charter school the Gutenberg Foundation, Dr. Carol Ray Culleton donated $70,000 to that with great note. Rist family also donated. They had an ongoing 3-year donation of $40,000 per year. The Youth Council sat on the panel with us that night, and it was very enlightening, and I can report that I'm very proud of what the charter school is doing with the youth. The youth that participated were fantastic. They make you proud that we're doing the right thing with our children if we could have them all like that. And really, what a great homage to both the Lee County School, some of the charter schools, and our own Oasis charter. They talked about at Oasis their program for STEM and AI, and some of the things that they're discussing and teaching with kids in second and third grade. I mean, there are a lot of adults around that would be better informed if they had just some of that type of schooling. It's fantastic what they're doing. On Friday or Thursday the 6th, I went to the CCCI award ceremony. I went on February 14th along with other council members to the joint MPO, and again, just to emphasize, there's a lot of good rapport about getting the Bernstein 24 or 14.5 miles left to be completed. Looks like engineering on that's going to not go, 60% engineering won't even happen until 2031, which is a shame, and funding has been the issue there. They'll be able to complete the engineering, but going forward, it's really right-of-way acquisition, and they're still struggling to put together all the funding on it. And then the second priority is, I think Councilman Steinke has mentioned, was really getting a I-75 second exchange for us, or another exchange for us in a more timely manner. And then also the emphasis on home rule and the state's effort to consolidate MPOs, and our position with respect to that from the MPO was that we're doing a good job in coordinating, and we don't need a lot of state help on that. I also attended Conservative Leadership Conference that evening. On Saturday, February 15th, I went to the Historical Museum, a used car fundraiser. Had city participation there from our first responders, which was very rewarding. And this morning I attended the CHNEP Federal Economic Recovery and Resiliency Workshop. And that again was another nice cooperative effort. That talked about the resources that we're able to access from the federal government and how best to do them. It was, gave examples of some projects, and City Manager, I can talk to you about some of those and some of those examples. One that might apply directly, maybe with some of situation we have with the yacht club. There may be some application there of funding from a different source than we even looked at before, but I'll review that with you. And then I just want to advertise my upcoming North Aquifer event, which will be Saturday, 9:30, 11:30 at the Northwest Regional Library. And then following up on that will be the pickleball grand opening and renaming on at 12 p.m. that day. So thank you very much, Mayor. That's it.
Councilmember Laster.
Thank you. Two things. As I mentioned previously, I had my town hall meeting this past Saturday on the 15th at Banyan Trace. I would say it was a success. I want to give a shout out to our Parks and Recs Director, Joe Petrella. I don't see him, but he was able to attend and ask a lot of questions, especially pertaining to the future stakeholders group for Parks and Recs and the old golf course. And then later that evening, I attended and rode in the Edison Parade and represented our city. And it was a fun time and great to collaborate with other leaders over the bridge. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Lehman.
Yes. On February 7th, as a member of the Employee Association, I helped with the craft fair, and I was amazed at how many employees have crafts that they do and how talented a lot of the employees are. It was amazing. On the 11th, I had a guided tour of the PACE Center for Girls in Fort Myers. Truly amazing place, and I'm going to be participating and helping with their awards luncheon on March 6th. I also went to the joint MPO, got a chance to talk to Commissioner Hammond about some possibilities with some ideas on Yellow Fever Creek, and I'm still researching them. My next town hall is March 1st at Rotary Park. Unfortunately, immediately following the protest that they're having at Rotary Park for Redfish Point. But they know I'll be there, I know they'll be there, and we've already pledged to be civil to each other. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sure. Councilmember Long.
Yeah, no report per se, Mayor, but I did want to take an opportunity. Councilmember Steinke refreshed my memory, actually, about a discussion we had last week at the COW meeting regarding some short-term rental rates. I had brought up the possibility of looking into reconfiguring that registration fee or making it a recurring one, so I would just ask for a second from somebody in this body to allow me to work with staff and bring this
I'll give you the
council
second.
some ideas. Mr. City Attorney, looks like you've got
Yeah, and also identifying a business tax receipt that could also be assessed as well.
Well, that was the nature of my.
I'm looking at two of them as independently.
Correct. Yep. So I guess just all encompassing as far as looking at the rates that we are able to impose on short-term rentals.
Second.
How's that? Thank you.
Second, yep.
That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, the only thing I wanted to bring up, as you all know, we have legislative days in March. The same week that we have a city council meeting on March 26th. There are some events in the morning on Wednesday. As we all know, it's about a 6-hour drive. I've spoken to the city manager to see if he had any issue with possibly canceling the regular meeting to March 26th. I think about 5 of us from council will be attending.
Yes, sir.
So it's going to be a little restrictive to try to get back here and make it in time.
You mean to try to fly back here after 6.5 hours of driving
Yeah.
and be human for the council meeting?
I would ask this body if any member would like to entertain a motion to cancel the regular meeting of March 26th,
So moved.
2025.
Second.
So moved.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Long.
Aye.
Steinke.
Aye.
Donnell.
I couldn't get my light quick enough. That doesn't create any kind of legal piece because we've made the meeting schedule out. I just wanted to.
Probably just a big.
We voted for it, we can vote to change it.
That's what you're doing right now, is essentially in compliance with your rules and the charter.
Aye.
Sorry about that. Donnell.
Aye.
Thank you. Gunter.
Aye.
Kaduk.
Aye.
Kilrain. Lastra.
Aye.
Lehman.
Aye.
8 ayes, motion carried.
Okay, Mr. City Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. Briefly, I know I've sent it off to you via electronic email regarding the city's response in regards to our petition for attorney's fees. It's before the First District Court of Appeal. I did send that to you out on, it was filed on the 10th of February. I sent it off to you all on the 11th of February. I also want to let you know that FDEP did file a response, also in opposition to what the petitioners are seeking. They did request additional time. As you may or may not know, there's rules in place, both administrative rules, appellate rules. And so while there may be some intimation from the public that I could still proceed forward, I want to make you all know that until such time that there's a final determination by the First District Court of Appeal, I'm unable to avail myself of any remedies before the administrative law judge. So they did ask for additional time to reply, and we were in agreement because it is usually something that's granted and frowned upon if we do not. So I want to let you know that that is the present status of that, and I'll keep you apprised of any changes should they occur.
Mr. City Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 2 items. a couple weeks ago, there was a representative that came before you all from Salis Care organization and made a statement regarding their ability to get FEMA funds from FEMA as a result of them not having a lease with the city. I want to let you know that I have asked our emergency management director, who deals with FEMA regularly in obtaining funds, to work with that organization. To date, we have not been able to validate that claim. And if something were to change, I will let you know. But as of right now, we've asked for documents. We've worked with our consultants to see if they've ever heard of anything like that. And so we're working to try to validate that claim, but as of now, we cannot. And then lastly, during our joint meeting with the charter school, there was a question about the contract for design with Avalon on how long they were engaged or how far. I turned around and asked them if they were engaged through 100%, and the speaker indicated they were. My staff after the meeting told me they're not. We have to come back to you all for approval. So I just wanted to get that to you and the community.
So I was right.
Yeah. So yeah, although he said they were, actually contractually they're not, and so there will be something coming to you all. Thank you.
Okay. Time and place of future meeting. We have a committee of the whole Cape Coral City Council scheduled for Wednesday, February 26, 2025, beginning at 9 a.m. here in council chambers. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.